Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2022-23 Premier League season review. I'm Jack Thompson, and today I'm joined by Tom Mulligan as we break down the Premier League last season. So let's start off with the history-making treble winners, Manchester City, managed by Pep Guardiola. Give your thoughts on their season, their signings, washing out the old in the new, getting rid of Raheem Sterling, and then having Eric Haaland.
Yeah, well, what Pep does so well is he adapts. He sells his players. He gets rid of his best players. Aguero had to go. Company goes. Silva goes. Sterling goes. But he gets the replacements in. He gets the Haalands. He develops Foden. He just
Yeah,
always seems to find a way, and that's why he's
exactly.
the best manager in the world.
I mean, just look what he's done for Kyle Walker. He was going nowhere at Tottenham Hotspur, wasn't getting in the England team, and look, since he's left, he's won 13 trophies.
I think that's a bit of the curse of the Tottenham Hotspur. He was a very good player at Tottenham, just like as Harry Kane is, just as Husband's son is. But obviously, unless you leave Tottenham, that's when you're going to win the big trophies, or even a trophy.
Exactly. And their results, like beating Manchester United 6-3, doing the 4-1 over Arsenal when it was under the pressure, but just delivered in the big games.
Yeah, they did. To be fair, Man City, you kind of knew, even though Arsenal were top, you kind of knew that last 10 games. We all sort of knew what was going to happen. We all knew Arsenal were going to bottle it, and City were going to come and take it because City they've been there and done it. Arsenal they hadn't, so we all knew
Yeah,
what.
just great players like Ruben Diaz and Gundogan, who's just left, had his best season with the club. De Bruyne being a dominant figure, and even like Bernardo Silva and Alvarez, their bench guys. I'm solid. They'd easily fit in any other team's starting 11, but they're just the bench guys like Mahrez, for
Yeah,
example. Just
what I
brilliant.
find what I find strange about the City Arsenal coming towards the end of the season. They had a match, didn't they? Arsenal were top, City was second. This is supposed to be a 50-50 game. It was a
Exactly.
90-10 game.
It
The
was,
chances of Arsenal winning that you just knew weren't going to happen.
and it
And
ended up being
that's
a
so
4-1.
strange. Man City are turning this league sort of into a farmers league.
Exactly, because they're just levels above everybody else. Nobody can compete with them, and and it just looks like this season, if they manage to beat Arsenal again and get Declan Rice, I mean,
I
after
know it'd be like a KO, won't it?
yeah, exactly, it'd be the big knockout blow, just getting from strength to strength. Let's have a look at Arsenal's second place position. I mean,
Yeah,
because they were just lucky to get top four at the start of the season, like you didn't think, and then they signed
yeah.
Gabriel Jesus,
I
and
really
then
like I really like what Arteta's doing with Arsenal. I think Arsenal have probably one of the best young squads in the world. If you look at some of their players, you've got Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, and then
yeah,
he's built a couple of more experienced heads around that. Jesus, Zinchenko. They've had a really good season, to be fair, Arsenal.
yeah,
I
it's
think
really
obviously it's just the way that they sort of finish second is going to be
yeah,
disappointing. But overall, if you're looking at it on an overall basis, they've done really well.
exactly, and even great defensive guys like Saliba and Tomiyasu from Japan and Pepe
Yeah,
up front,
yeah, they weren't there
Jorginho.
by mistake. Um, Next season, I wouldn't be surprised if they were sitting around about that place as well again. To be fair,
Yeah, and they're also doing what Man City. I'm doing, like trying to clear out a lot of players like Xhaka and Kieran Tierney and Partey.
yeah, it's always good to get rid of some of the dead wood, as it's
Yeah,
just as it's
exactly.
just wages at the end of the day. Like
Absolutely.
Man United finally getting rid of Phil Jones. He was the meme back in 2013.
Absolutely. But Arsenal, they really started the season off so well. But to come out this season trophyless, I mean, Man United
Yeah,
got the Carabao Cup whilst Arsenal went out first round in that.
yeah.
Yes.
I think the only real big disappointment for Arsenal was probably the Europa League. The fact that they still
Yeah,
haven't won
they
anything in
went out
Europe.
to that in like humiliating circumstances
Yeah,
with
because
like one of
Sporting
the
Lisbon,
most.
you'd have thought under the circumstances of how they've been performing in the Premier that they would have gone on and won that.
Yeah,
But it's in their DNA really to bottle it in Europe, unlike the mighty West Ham.
exactly, West Ham. Well, let's look at third place Man United season. Marcus Rashford started out with a lot of drama, big heavy
Yeah,
defeat to Brentford, the Cristiano Ronaldo saga, the big ego at the door. But then Man
yeah,
United were able to turn it around and have a solid season, even
yeah.
though they had some freak 7-0 defeat to Liverpool. But
I,
they did come over. They got the 2-1 win at City and got the 4-0 over Chelsea. And they did beat Liverpool at home with the 2-1. Getting
yeah,
Casemiro was a big signing for them.
yeah. I think Ten Hag has done well just to steady the ship at Man United. He's won them a League Cup. He's finished. He's got them comfortably finishing the top four. He's just got to build on that now for next season. I think he's done really well at Man United. I think they've had a good season.
Yeah, they did really well. And Garnacho is looking to be a star of the future in the Premier League
I
now.
think it is a debate, but Casemiro getting him in, what a signing that is, by the way. And
Yeah,
even though
it's worth the
Casemiro's
money.
still young, I believe he's like 31 or 32. Here's a debate. Is it better to sign an old, experienced head who you know has only got one or two good seasons left, but you know you're going to get that quality for that season, other than a youngster for 90 million who may not perform? And you're looking at
Yeah,
someone
it's
like
like the
Sancho.
first signing
You're
Anthony is a
looking at
big
someone like
risk.
Sancho who hasn't performed, or you're looking at, just for example, Zlatan. You brought him in for one season and he had a really good season. Is it better to sign these experienced heads like you've sort of done with Casemiro, who's
Yeah.
been there, done it at Real Madrid?
It's like Manchester United getting Robin van Persie. And even
Yeah,
Ronaldo, like the season before with Ollie, he was brilliant. 18 goals, scoring hat tricks against Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, not many players can
yeah,
do that.
he did really well, especially for his age as well. That even some of the top Premier League strikers in their prime, sort of look at Ivan Toney's only
Yeah,
getting 20 in one of his best ever seasons. So for Ronaldo to come in at 37 years of age and to sort of be leveling on that is insane.
let's talk about the incredible job Eddie Howe has done with Newcastle. Champions League football for the Magpies.
Yeah, well, you knew there was going to be a big shaft there and a big rebuild with the money coming in,
Yeah,
but
big
you didn't
rebuild.
expect them to finish as high as they did so early on. I was really impressed with their striker, Isaac. Is it
Yeah,
the
Alexander
striker? Yeah,
Isak.
yeah, he's been banging them in for fun. Callum Wilson, he's been on. Joel Linton. They've all been performing really well, and make it no surprise, Newcastle will be there and thereabouts again next season.
Absolutely, and I think they'll be definitely wanting to compete for the FA Cup or Carabao Cup. And what a signing Bruno Gomes has been.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
Uh, just Eddie Howe. You seen what he done at Bournemouth? He took them from like League Two all the way up to the Premier, and then got them
yeah,
a stable team in the Premier for a couple of seasons. I mean, you're looking at that they were finishing top half, ninth at one point, I believe, and now
exactly,
they've sacked Gary O'Neill, and everyone's gone mad. It's like, hang on, Bournemouth want a bit of ambition. They were finishing top half
exactly.
before. That's probably where they want to go. They don't want to just keep surviving relegation.
Yeah, but don't want to
Probably
end up
Gary
like
O'Neill might.
Southampton because I'm just
Yeah.
gonna. If you keep striving for just surviving the drop, you're gonna get dropped at the end of the day. You can't just be like
Yeah, well,
Leeds
to be fair,
United.
I agree with the sacking in a sense that they've got a bit of ambition. They've signed that guy now, but that Spanish guy. So we'll see how it works. So it might be that it doesn't work, but at least they've had that ambition to give it a go.
Let's look at fifth place Liverpool.
Liverpool,
Villa
yeah, bit of a
disappointing trophyless season for them.
yeah, very disappointing for Liverpool, and I think the key for them now for this transfer window is the midfield. I know that they've
Yeah,
signed
because they've had to get rid of the dead wood, like Milner and Firmino, guys who've a bit past it now,
Yeah,
looking a bit stale and old.
they've
They've
got
already had.
their attack is absolutely stacked. They've got a good defense. It's just that midfield, and it's let them down so much this season.
And they've
Hence the why they
conceded
finished
a lot of
fifth.
ridiculous goals.
If
Like,
if they have a good transfer window and they do manage to get in a couple of midfielders, especially that sort of centre mid role, I wouldn't be surprised if you put them straight back in a title race next season.
exactly, because once Mohamed Salah starts scoring, there's no limit. Because, like, of course, we saw glimpses of their brilliance, like the 9-0 over Bournemouth and the 7-0 over Man United.
Yeah,
Like, that
they
is the
had
Liverpool of
they had
old.
good performances and they had good moments, but a season to forget, I think, for Liverpool. I think they've
Yeah.
just got to get it right in the midfield.
And
Stick with
Darwin
Klopp. He's an ama-
Nunez is going to
he's
be
been,
better next season, I feel.
yeah,
Jota.
Klopp's an amazing manager. They've got to stick with him. Get that midfield better next season. I'm expecting a title challenge
Yeah,
Liverpool.
I'm expecting them to win the Europa League like next season.
Yeah,
Like that.
You'd expect them to win that, and that shouldn't hinder where they finish either in the league. To be honest, because they could play their second team really for the most of that competition up until probably the quarter semi-finals.
What an incredible season for Brighton and Hove Albion, especially after Graham Potter left early in the season, after they started off the season so brilliantly and beating Man United at Old Trafford, and then he took the
Yeah.
Chelsea job. But what a job Roberto Zabiba's been.
Yeah, Brighton are so well at just adapting. They seem to get rid of their best players, sort of similar to what Pep does. Gets rid of their best players, but somehow manages to get a bargain and manages it to work. All I would say about Graham Potter is it's sort of like he's been pied in the face a little bit.
Exactly,
He's
great
moved on
players
to
like
better things. He's finished 12th. The team that he's left has finished 6th, and he's got the sack. Obviously, on Potter, you can't blame him at the time for going to Chelsea. They're a much bigger club than Brighton. He'd get a much bigger budget. At the time, it was like gold dust really for him, but it hasn't worked out, and he has been sort of left with pie on his face.
And they've had some great stars, but getting rid of McAllister's going to be hard as Liverpool have just signed him. But if they can keep great players like Solly Marsh and Pascal Gross and Mick Toma, and they've got that experience of guys like Lallana and Welbeck who have been
Yeah,
better at
I think
Brighton.
with Brighton, they don't have like exceptional players, but they just work really well together as a team, and they work
Well,
really well drilled. They don't really
Moses
have any
Salcedo is
huge
quite good.
standouts. Like it's always if you can get rid of a player and you can put a player in because they just work well together.
Exactly, but it's going to be hard for them balancing this with European football. It's a whole new ball game. It's
Yeah,
going to
I
be
think they'll
really
do all right in Europe. I expect them to get out of the group. I can't really see them getting past sort of the quarterfinals, if I'm honest. If I'm brutally honest, I mean they definitely could. West Ham got to the semis, but I think about the quarterfinals is where they would sort of look at going out the competition. But it sort of argues the point: do they not go as hard in the Europa League? Knowing some of the teams in there, Liverpool, for example, knowing maybe we're not going to win this, and maybe just focus on the league. But then you focus on the league to get to these competitions. So I think Brighton should just give it all they've got really in the Europa League, and you never know. But I can't really see them getting past the quarters. I think they'll have another decent season. Definitely not as good as they did last season. I can see them finishing between about 9th and about 13th next season.
Let's talk about Aston Villa. What a turnaround Unai Emery has done with Steven Gerrard at the beginning of the season. They looked like relegation contenders. Now they're in the Europa Conference League
Yeah,
and look like they're going to build next season. They built up a really great squad.
yeah. Emery's done a really good job there. I think what he's already got good players, which has helped, and he's just got them going, and he's got them ticking, and he's got them working and playing well together. I think that
Absolutely.
Aston Villa will win the Europa League conference next season. You know how good Emery is at winning these sort of competitions, and now
Yeah.
he's with the Villa side as well, with a West Ham side that have just won it. I'd put a bet on that Villa will win the Europa Conference League next season. They've got a manager who wins trophies. I can see them having another good season. They've just signed Tielemans as well. They've still got loads of business yet to do in the summer. I can see another comfortable, good top half finish from Villa next season. If they don't get that, I think they're underachieved.
And guys like Ollie Watkins and John McGinn, Douglas Luiz, Tyrone Mings, Traore, they're playing much better. Like, because under
Yeah.
Gerrard, they looked dead wood, and even guys like Coutinho have improved. Like, Coutinho looked
Yeah.
washed up, but since Emirates came in, they've basically all looked like fresh, brand new signings.
Yeah, they have. And Ollie Watkins has been banging them in, to be fair, for Villa. I know he does miss a lot of chances, and I think Man United were linked to him. And I think if the money was right, I think Villa should sell him because I don't think he's that great of a player where it's going to be hard to replace him. I think they'd be able to replace him quite
Especially the chances that they create. Like, so many strikers could bury it, I feel.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it'd be a huge miss if they were to get rid of Watkins. I think they'd be able to get a striker in who'd be able to do sort of get similar goals to him in the season. Yeah.
Now let's talk about a huge disappointment for Tottenham Hotspur. You would have thought with Antonio Conte, this is going to be their year for success, but it ended up being a huge ego cluster, like a complete clusterfuck, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just Tottenham, isn't it? It's just what they do. But to be fair, they've had Mourinho, Conte. It doesn't matter who they've got in that team.
No.
There's something that's toxic that's
Maurizio
running in that club.
Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte. Like, that's like three incredible best managers you can ever get with this squad. And they're not afraid to spend the money. 50 million for Richarlison, who had a great World Cup.
Yeah. I think that was money quite badly spent, to be fair. 50 million on Richarlison. I mean, they could have got so many better value deals for money than that. But I think Harry Kane has to leave this season. I mean, he's such a top player. He is one of the best strikers that the Premier League has ever seen. And if he doesn't win a trophy in his career, it will be such a shame. He's got to leave Tottenham, and it's got to be this season.
I mean, Son Heung-min just had the whole season injured, and still, he was still one of the best players.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? Like,
yeah, I
these
think
guys need to leave.
I can't really see Tottenham improving too much next season. I think they'll probably have quite a similar season. I really wouldn't be surprised if they did a Chelsea next season, finished outside the top half. To be honest.
Because nobody really wants to join. Like, who's like screaming out to join Tottenham Hotspur?
They haven't got the attraction of European football. They haven't even got the attraction of saying you can play in the Europa League Conference, let alone Europa League, let alone Champions League. They don't have. They won't bring in quality players. Your quality players that you do have will probably leave. I can't see it being a good season for them, to be honest. They've got a lot of rebuilding to do.
A lot of dead wood as well.
They've got a lot of dead wood in their team. It's going to be another tough season, I think, for Spurs.
Exactly. Like Ryan Sessegnon, what the hell is he doing there? Eric Dyer, time for him to go. Yeah. Just don't sit. And who they're going to get as a goalkeeper? Like, come on.
I think
Maurice goes. Like, I just don't know. Anyway, let's move on to Thomas Frank's Brentford, the only team to do the double over Manchester City, but they have that big thing looming over them with Ivan Toney being suspended. He's going to miss pretty much half of next season now.
Yeah, it is going to be a big miss for them, and it's a real shame for Ivan Toney, especially when every single sponsor in the Premier League is Bet365, Betway, Bet this, Bet that. Every advert, bet. It's all over the stadium. Bet. It's even on the bloody shirts on the corners of the shirts. Bet. Yet when a player bets, he's suspended for 8 months. I think there should be a bit more help for the players, especially, obviously we don't know the lives of footballers. We just watch it week in, week out. They're in hotel rooms. They're going to be by themselves. They get this big lump sum of cash every week, and they probably didn't grow up with. Obviously, they didn't grow up with this sort of money. They don't really know what to do with it. and they probably are putting on thousands of pounds on betting, and they do need help, really. And it's not the
Exactly.
best way to deal with it to just punish the guy.
Because we don't know how many other players are doing this. He's probably just there who got caught. It's like
Yeah, there's
people
probably
who
those.
get
I
multiple
think you can imagine if they're
steroids in
bored in their
boxing.
hotel room, they're on their phone, they've got hundreds of thousands of pounds in the bank. You know, what does someone do? A very young lad. How old is Tony? 25, 26, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think more help should have been provided for him. To be honest,
Yeah, he's only 27.
27.
And he had all that pressure of being England's next star striker as well for the England team.
Yeah, and the fact that he can't even train either, it's going to be really detrimental.
Exactly.
But going back onto Brentford anyway, yeah, they've had a solid season. To be fair, I think
Yeah,
a lot of
solid
people,
season. But
a
will
lot
they
of
be able
people
to
had
keep it up?
a lot of people had like second season syndrome. I can see them getting relegated and all this, but
Yeah.
Thomas Franks
Once
proved them
they
all
did
wrong.
that 4-0 over Manchester United, you knew. And when Ivan Toney was suspended the first time,
Yeah.
what did they do? They bet bloody Tottenham 3-1 at the London Stadium in a away victory, did a demolition job. So there
Yeah,
is.
well, I think they will
quality in
definitely
this
struggle
team.
more without Tony. But as you said, look at some of the performance there without him. It doesn't seem like they will
Yeah.
struggle that much. I still think they'll have a dip in the table though next season. I can't see them finishing top half again. To be quite frank.
And speaking of another good season, which were tipped to go down, Fulham started the season 2-2.
Fulham, yeah,
Mitrovic, 14
yeah.
Premier League goals.
Mitrovic has been their main man. To be fair,
And
he hasn't played the full season this season. He's still
now
managed to
he's
get
been
14 goals.
suspended and he's missed a few sitters and penalties.
Yeah, he
But
seems to be the king at the moment of missing penalties, Mitrovic. But I think Mitrovic is a top player, and I don't understand why teams like Man United aren't sniffing around
I
getting
know.
these sort of. This is what they used to do. They used to get the best of the rest sort of players. Like Fulham, perfect example. They'd get their Louis Saha from Fulham, and Mitrovic at Man United would be absolutely great. Could you imagine how many he's scoring at Man United if he's scoring that for Fulham? He's a 20 goal a season
But
plus
the only
striker
problem
that
with
you're probably going to
Mitrovic,
get for 35 million. I know he's a
but
bit of a hothead.
yeah, that's the problem, his attitude. Like, you can start fights with the referee and stuff, like he
Yeah.
did before, like when he got kicked out against
I
Man
think it's
United.
good though to have that little bit of aggression. If you go
Yeah,
back to
it brings it
Chelsea,
to the game. We need
if you go
characters
back
in
to
the game.
Chelsea, Diego Costa when they won that league, sort of similar striker to Mitro, a bit in your face, a bit rowdy, but he scores the goals.
It's like Man United in Viking. And
That
Andreas
would be a perfect
Pereira's
signing
made
for Man
him,
United, I
and
think. But
João Paulinho, he's made himself into a star.
yeah, he's been absolutely terrific, and I think that they're looking at him now being sort of a replacement for Royce at West Ham.
Yeah. And
I think this is the
Williams
problem with Fulham.
improved
I
his
think
career.
they're finished in the top half, but it seems like now everyone's sort of sniffing around for their best players. But to
And
be fair to Fulham, everyone did tip them to go down and to struggle, and they're comfortably finished in the top half. So fair play to them.
yeah, Marco Silva's done a good job. And speaking of season savers, Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace. How the heck has he got this team to 11th in the league? I mean,
Yeah.
because looking at their team now, other than Wilfred Zaha, and it just looks like they've had the same players for years. Like, how many years has Schlopp been there? James MacArthur and James
Yeah,
Tompkins and Joe Ward. And I mean,
yeah,
this is looking like a Deadwood team, but
yeah.
somehow,
I wouldn't be surprised if Crystal Palace was in a relegation scrap next season. To be honest, but that it doesn't seem like they invest very well. But to be
no.
fair, they have got, like as you said, they've got Zaha, Eze, Roy Hudson obviously at the wheel. He's an experienced manager. He got them comfortably in the end, finished 11th. So
Yeah,
they're just that team, aren't they? That
they're
just
just
finish
really good at
in and
home.
around
Like,
there.
they're just really good at Selhurst Park. They just managed to get like 2-0 wins. So, like, they just
Yeah,
edge it out. Like, they're really they're just really good, but
yeah. They're just what to be
hard
fair,
to
Crystal
beat.
Palace are just a team that reminds me. They're just there to fill the numbers.
I know, but
But
yeah,
fair play
exactly.
to
You don't.
Roy. He's come in. He's done a good job there, A bit of a shame for Patrick Vieira. Obviously, he was trying to build something there, and
Yeah,
they don't think they gave him enough time. But you don't have time in this game, do you? If you have a couple of bad results, you're out the door, which is a shame. But that's just the way it is.
let's talk about the biggest flop of the season, Chelsea FC. Signed literally every superstar on the planet.
Sterling,
Unlimited
Aubameyang, they were
budget.
getting absolutely everyone, and yeah, 12.
And Thomas Tuchel as managers, they look like they're gonna run away with this Premier League title. Like they're really gonna destroy City and Liverpool. Like you
Yeah,
really thought this was they're gonna take the Champions League, no problem. But
yeah. I
my
think
God, man,
a lot of people had Chelsea finishing with inside the top four comfortably as well. And the fact that Bournemouth were a couple of points off them, I think, paints the picture to how bad that they were.
when
Just absolutely
Raheem
atrocious from them. And to
Raheem
be fair,
Sterling,
I've,
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
I've seen a lot of people predicting Chelsea to have a much better season next season.
You
Where's
gotta
the
think
proof?
so.
Where is the proof in that?
I know.
I wouldn't be
Maurizio
surprised if they finished
Pochettino,
12th
a world
again.
class manager. But look at Pochettino at PSG. Couldn't handle the egos there, and he couldn't handle the egos at Tottenham either. But Maurizio Pochettino did a better job at Southampton. Like he got Southampton into the top 8. Like that's even higher than Chelsea now with this
Well,
incredible team.
yeah,
But
they have a
losing
really
Kai
good
Havertz
manager, but
to Arsenal and losing a lot of their deadwood players like Conte and Kouabala after one season, he was hyped, but he's gone to Saudi, and Ziyech. Ziyech could have gone to West Ham, but he's gone for the Saudi one. And Havertz going to Arsenal. But
yeah.
do you think they're just getting rid of the deadwood, to be honest? Like Christian Pulisic, like, why is he
Well,
still at Chelsea?
they've got Lukaku returning, haven't they, on loan
Yeah,
from Inter Milan?
after missing
Um,
the City of the season.
yeah, it's a funny one with Chelsea, to be honest. You just never really know what's going on there.
Because on paper, they look like they can smash everybody 5-0 if they want. But
Yeah.
they could end up having a disaster. But with no European football next season, you'd think on paper they're going to storm the FA Cup. Like, come on. It's theirs for the take.
Well, not with Man City, Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United all sniffing around. I don't think they'd really stand a chance in the FA Cup, to be honest. They've got no European football. Who are
No.
they going to attract to sign? All the top players want to play in the big competitions. They've got the big egos in the side. They've got a good manager now, but I don't know. I can't see Chelsea having a good season next season.
I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna shock a lot of people.
What do you think? They'll get a good finish?
Yeah, like come on, like.
No, I don't see it, to be honest.
And
I think I'd be generous to give them 7th next season. When I do my predictions, I think 7th would probably be the absolute maximum.
let's talk about Julian Lopetegui saving this mediocre Wolves squad from bloody Bruno Lage. Like they look like relegation favourites at the start of the season. They started the season absolutely disastrous, but they ended
Yeah,
up playing some really great football at the end. But now they've lost their superstars like João Moutinho gone, and Ruben Neves gone, Raul Jimenez gone. Like who's going to be there? Diego Costa gone. Like they've got nobody left. Like
yeah.
He's going to be their star, and Neto. But other than that, it's going to be really hard for him next season.
Yeah, I
Because
think
especially if Lopetegui goes.
Wolves have got to be careful. To be honest, they've got to do some smart buying this summer, because if they don't be surprised if they get relegated. To be fair,
Well, Mateus Nunez and
yeah, they were in a relegation battle pretty much the whole of this season, apart from about last 4 games where they sort of secured it with a couple of good wins. But they need obviously with Moutinho, I think he was getting a bit old. He was a bit slow. So they released him, and they released Costa as well. So obviously he's not really. They've got rid of him, so obviously he's not very good. Ruben Neves, they've got so much money for him. how much did they get? 60 million or something.
Yeah, they've got money to spend
They've
now.
got money to spend now, so they need to spend that wisely. To
You'd
be
think
fair,
João Paulinho would be a
they
great fit
Wolves
with
need
Nunes.
Wolves desperately need a striker. They need a
Yeah,
goal. That's what their problem was this whole season, is that they couldn't get the
because they
ball in
did
the back of that net.
because they did
They
sign an Austrian striker this season, but he got injured in training for the whole of the season. 15 million they spent on him from
yeah.
from Stuttgart in Bundesliga. Klastridge, but he's gone. We're going to see how he does, and Chan needs to start getting in the goals, like all this hype.
Yeah, they need to focus on getting attacking players in.
Yeah,
I think, to be fair, one of the good signings that they did do, which I was a bit annoyed about, was they signed Craig Dawson from West Ham. I think he's been absolutely solid for them.
yeah, he's been a
Um,
brilliant star for them.
yeah, a bit weird why West Ham would sell him, but it is what it is.
And moving on to West Ham, I mean, the Premier League has been a season to forget, but their European football success has just been an incredible turnaround, as they'll be in Europa League next season. But with this squad, with a lot of guys like Scaramaccia going and Declan Rice going, and maybe even Kurt Zuma, like, do you think them going to be all right for next season? Jared Bowen, is he going to get the goals? Is Danny Ings going to get the goals for him? Lanzini.
We had an absolutely phenomenal season last season, and that's from West Ham, from winning a trophy. Absolutely unbelievable.
I
It doesn't
know.
matter that we finished 14th, was it, in
I
the
know,
end?
and you had a disastrous Premier League season, to be
We'll,
honest. You
we'll,
look
we'll
like,
have a much better season next season. It doesn't. Obviously, Rice will go. We'll get a lot of money for him, and we can rebuild on that. And we've got Europa League.
yeah. And you've still
We
got
are. We are.
Thompson.
Don't be surprised in the next 10 years if we're an established top six.
You really think they're going to be like, in the sense how Newcastle are now, that's where West Ham will be.
I think we'll sort of be like how Everton were back in 2010, back in the tens, where they used to finish sixth, seventh. We'll be in and around sniffing there, I think, every other season, or every season, really.
But David Moyes, at the start of the season, there was a lot of calls for him to go.
Just as like David Moyes did at Everton
Everton,
when they
yeah,
were doing that.
exactly.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of noise from fans, no matter what happens. You know, if you're in it, because we were in a relegation fight for a lot of the season, and a lot of people call it to be gone. But sometimes you get rid of someone, and someone else comes in new, and they might have the new manager effect for the first game, where everyone gets excited, and then it's back to shit.
Yeah, like Avram Grant, like you got him from Chelsea,
Yeah.
and you had Gianfranco Zola. Like there was so much hype towards
Yeah.
these like established big names.
Yeah, we got to stick with Moyes. He's built that team. He's got us a trophy.
Like Jared Bowen.
We've got some exceptional players in our team, and I can't wait for next season. I think we'll have another solid season, and hopefully we'll have a good run at the Europa League as well, because you never know.
Now let's look at Bournemouth. Started the season disastrously with Scott Parker. Like Scott Parker would do all these great speeches on the interviews. You'd
Yeah,
think with the big ego, and then they were just collapsed. But then Gary O'Neill somehow saved this team. Guys like Lewis Cook and Ryan Fredericks are still in the team. But
yeah,
I just think they're going to struggle next season. Like Jack Rothwell and
yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are probably
like
tipping Bournemouth to go
Solanke.
down next season, but
Yeah, they're a bit like Wolves, aren't they?
a little bit. I think they'll be all right next season. I think they'll stay up. I think there's still three worse teams than them, but they'll eventually go down. But to be fair, they've overexceeded. Everyone thought they'd be rock bottom, and
Yeah, they look like
that
especially that
for them
9-0
they've had a good
defeat.
season.
Especially when they lost 9-0, like you thought that would have been it.
Yeah, when they lost 9-0, it shows how they could sort of capitulate like that and sort of just just get turned on their arse. But no, they've done well. Fair play to them. I think they'll finish around 15th, 16th again next season, but they'll get the drop eventually.
Now, let's talk about Steve Cooper. There was lots of talk about him being sacked for Nottingham Forest, but he stayed on and he got them into 16th and they survived the season. And basically, their squad basically looked like a silver packs from. It looked like they bought 50 silver packs on FIFA Ultimate Team. Like they've literally got a who's who of players like
Thought they did a QPR.
Gonjo Shelby and Willie Bowley. And
it's a bit of a shame because like they got Lingard and they've released him now, and but you look at some of the players that have come good for them: Gibbs White, Brent Thompson, Away is the striker's name. They do have decent players, and Steve Cooper's only job this season, really, for their first season back in the Premier League for how long, was to stay in the Premier League, and he's done that. And they've got really good players, as you said, Morgan, Gibbs White, Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, it's just hard to get.
I think they'll build on that next season. I think a lot of people probably have them to go down next season, which would be foolish if you were to put them down. I think they'll build on that next season. I think they'll have a decent season. I can see them sort of around
Harry Arter and
12,
Chris Wood
like
up front. I mean, getting Chris Wood up front was such a good signing for them.
Yeah, he was a decent signing, experienced striker. I don't think he scored that many.
Yeah,
but it's just obviously having that experience heading.
If they can do this right, Nottingham Forest, I think they could easily be a top 10 team. Or they could be like a QPR, where just sign everybody past their prime and have a disaster.
You look at Fulham last season finishing 10th. I want a Brentford finishing 9th.
Yeah, you'd think.
I wouldn't say that it's too far-fetched to say next season Nottingham Forest could finish in the top 10.
Yeah, if they have a great home record.
They've definitely got good enough players, and they've had a season under the belts now. So yeah, I'm really liking the way things are at Nottingham Forest. And they're a proper club as well, proper old school club.
And they're entertaining to watch because you see a lot of like crazy, stupid goals in their matches. Because
seems like Nottingham Forest should be in the Premier League. They're that club that they are a big club and they should be in the Premier League. Next season they aren't going to get relegated. They're going to build on the season they've just had, and they're going to have a good season next season.
Now, let's talk about a terrible season. I mean, hard to think Carlo Ancelotti was the manager of this season a few seasons ago, signing Richarlison and James Rodriguez and all these superstars. Let's talk about Everton. Jordan Pickford, England's number one, still the goalkeeper. Damari Gray, Alex Iwobi. These players should be doing much better.
There's a bad feeling about Everton. Jordan Pickford, to be fair, has been their sort of standout player. He's saved them quite a few times in goal, but it just doesn't seem to work for them. They were in that relegation fight, but I think we all knew that they weren't going to get relegated. I think Sean Dyche sort of came in, he steadied the ship, he sort of got them playing well. He's sort of a masterclass at the 1-0s, isn't he?
Yeah, Sean just edging out them 1-0s.
I think they'll be in and around sort of relegation again next season.
Yeah.
But I think they'll stay up. I think you're looking probably 16th, 15th, sort of around about the area. I don't think there's much Sean Dyche can do. That club seems to be. I think it's the owners. I think it's run a bit toxic. Wouldn't be surprised if they went down next season, to be brutally honest.
Especially because I can see players like Seamus Coleman, Pickford, Tarlowski, Michael Keane, Damari Gray, Iwobi. They're all going to say no at some point.
It's a shame to see, and their fans, obviously.
You don't really see where the goals are coming from because Calvert-Lewin's kind of... He's not as good as he used to be anymore. He's kind of dried up a bit since the injuries.
Yeah, he's had his fair share of injuries. And to be fair, he is a good player, Calvert-Lewin, but he hasn't really got going, has he, this season?
No. Let's talk about, speaking of washed up Deadwood, Leicester City, Premier League champions, FA Cup winners, Brendan Rodgers as manager. But these players just didn't want to play for the club. I mean, Harvey Barnes and Maddison, Jamie Vardy. It's just too much washed up.
Yeah, I think Leicester's problem was their defence. It was just shambolic, wasn't it? They had a good attack, as
Absolutely
you said. Get
disaster.
Harvey Barnes, Maddison, Vardy, Tielemans in the midfield. It's just that defence was just killing them.
The
I don't know.
defence,
I
Danny
don't know the
Ward
stats.
in goal.
Yeah.
Come on, Danny Ward. He's like
Mind you,
Wales'
did you watch
number
that one
two.
game where they drew 2-2 with Everton? It wasn't Danny
Yeah,
Ward in goal. They had their second keeper, and he was superb in that game. But yeah, I think Leicester. To be fair, I
yeah.
think that they should come straight back up
I
in the
don't
Premier.
know. I can see guys like Ian Acho leaving, and I mean, Johnny Evans has washed up now. He's past it. I mean, Johnny Evans was a joke at Man United 10 years ago, pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a shame that obviously they've got relegated, considering they've won the league,
Yeah.
they've won the FA Cup,
They
they've had a
had
bit
all
of
the
a
success, made some
yeah,
proper superstars, but all
they've had
their
a bit of a
players like
fairy tale.
Mahrez and Conte left when they
To be
needed
fair,
to leave.
if you'd have told a Leicester fan 10 years ago that you'd go on and win the Premier League, FA Cup, Community Shield, and then get
Champions League
relegated,
quarter finalists.
I think they would have. I think they would have probably bit your arm off for that. So
Of
I don't
course.
think they can be too disheartened. Maybe they might turn into a Blackburn now, where they're just hovering around in the Championship,
Oof, I
and they've
know.
got a
It's
Premier
gonna
League to their name.
be tough next season. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I
'Cause,
wonder if Madison and Barnes would be eager to play in the Championship. I mean, they were in a side that got relegated to the Championship, so why shouldn't they stay there and play in the Championship? Isn't that their level when you get relegated
yeah,
from a team that are in the Premier League? But will their egos allow them to? But to be fair, I say that, but Harvey Barnes is a player and Madison's a player as well. So I think Tottenham are sniffing around for them, which, to be honest, it'll be a bit of a waste them going to Tottenham because players like that, they want to be playing in the competitions. They want to be playing in the Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference at least. I think it'd be a bit of
especially if they want to be for their international teams. Like you don't want to see Madison and Harvey Barnes in the England squad, but them Championship
yeah. But
players.
then
Like,
again,
come
it's
on.
still a massive jump from the Championship to go to Tottenham, who are a big club. You've got good players around you. And, they've got
Exactly.
Pochettino as manager, so maybe they do go to Tottenham if they can put a reasonable bid in. I know they bidded 50 million for both of them, which was a bit laughable, but that's 25 million each in today's market. That was an absolute joke. But we'll see if Tottenham put in a reasonable bid. I think they'll leave.
Now let's talk about 19th place Leeds. What an absolute disaster! I mean, Jesse Marsh, he was like the PE teacher, like giving all these epic motivational speeches, like getting angry at the referee.
Yeah.
But do you
Leeds.
think time for Patrick Bamford to leave now? Because he's seeing what.
I don't know. To be fair, I think it's a bit
Yeah,
weird that they brought in Sam Allardyce with 4 games to go.
they haven't know what they're expecting.
Expecting him to do it. It's like sort of getting a builder around and saying, "Oh, can you do this?" And them saying, "Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, no rules. I'll get this done in a day."
Yeah, it's like trying to get your
People.
homework. And the way they play, it's either going to go 4-2 or 4-2 each. Like, it's either they thrash a team or they get. Like, they just rely on every game to be a 4-3 thriller. You can't
Yeah,
survive the Premier League like that, having like an epic FIFA game. Like, you're never
yeah.
going to. You're gonna get
It's
destroyed at the end of
it's
the day if you
it's
just
just
go all out attack.
it's a shame for Leeds really because they've got a great stadium, big
They're an
club,
entertaining team,
huge
but
fan
this
base,
American. But this
uh,
relying on American players like
didn't
Tyler
they finish in the
Adams,
top
you know?
half last season? They got like 9th or 10th, didn't they, last season?
Yeah,
Am I
the
correct?
season before this one, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so you never know. That could happen to Fulham Brentford next season if they don't buckle up their ideas. But yeah, shame to
exactly.
see them go, really.
Yeah, there was a very fun, entertaining thing. And let's look at the long staying, because let's be fair, Southampton, when they first came to the Premier League in 2012, 2013, now with Ricky Lambert, they were favourites to go down. And bringing
Yeah,
in like Maurizio Pochettino and Dusan Tadic, Graziano Pella, they had some like great moments in the Premier League
they
last
did have
10
some good
years.
moments. They
But
finished
now,
6th, I
like,
believe, one season. They've had Europa League, but they've had good spells in the Premier League. unfortunate that it's the way to go. I don't think they signed enough players. Ward-Prowse should be on his way. I think Fulham are interested, which would be a really good signing for them if they can get their hands on him. Yeah, a lot of rebuilding to do at Southampton. I think they've had a really poor season. Bit of a shock that they go on a bit of a losing all season and then they're 3-0 up at Arsenal, which was crazy. Or 3-1, I can't remember now, but they were in front at Arsenal. It was crazy. Yeah, disappointing for Southampton. I feel sorry for them and their well, they've had how long have they had in the Premier League? 8 years? No, was it 10 years?
Yep, 10 years in the Premier League. Now, let's look at the new teams who are going to join the Premier League this season, replacing Leicester, Leeds, and Southampton. Let's look at Sheffield United, Luton.
Yeah, fair play to Burnley, to be honest. They won the league and they won it by a landslide. Vincent Kompany's done a really good job there. I think they'll have a decent season next season in the Premier League.
Burnley are back in the Premier League.
He seems to be a top manager, and I think it'll be weird because Vincent Kompany doesn't play how Burnley traditionally play, which is sit back, we'll try and nick a goal, and we'll just sit back. Vincent Kompany actually plays football. So next season it's going to be really weird when you're going, oh, we've got a game on, it's Burnley, and it's like, oh, they're actually playing football, they're actually doing decent stuff. I remember that one season they finished 7th.
Got guys like Joe Rodriguez.
Yeah. I think they'll have a good season, Burnley. I think fair play.
Yeah, they're going to be very entertaining. They're going to be.
They're going to
end up like how Leeds was in their first season back, very attacking.
Yeah.
Luton's going to be an unknown. Luton's going to be an unknown quantity because you expect them to be relegation favourites.
Yeah, you don't really know what to expect from Luton because they've never been in the Premier League before. They've had a really good season in the Championship. Who they're going to sign, how's it going to go? It's a bit up in the air at the moment. I think most people have them going.
Because most of these players, like
I hope they go.
Carlton,
I hope they surprise them.
Because a lot of these guys, like Carlton Morris and Glenn Rio, they're like Championship specialists. But this is just going to be an all new. Like the Premier League's going to, but their fan support, like their rabid fans, are definitely going to bring the heat at their home matches. Like them really going to.
I hope they stay up. I hope they do well, to be fair, Luton. And I like seeing teams that have never been in the Premier League, especially for the size of their club, their stadium. It's great that they're in the Premier League. And to be fair, I think it'd be hilarious watching them next season, even just like Man United going there or Man City going there.
Yeah, exactly.
That being a Premier League game. And I hope they do well. I hope they stay up.
Yeah. Let's talk about the return of Sheffield United finally. Billy Sharp still there. Oliver Norwood still there. It's going to be really difficult for them because this is just a team like, where's the wins going to come from? They're going to obviously have to beat the Crystal Palaces and the Nottingham Foresters and the Lutons. But when they get the Chelseas, the Tottenhams, the Arsenals, the Cities, the Uniteds, the Newcastles, the Liverpools, they expect to be slaughtered, but we'll see what happens with them.
Well, yeah, I think Sheffield United, they've done obviously really well to get back into the Premier League, and I don't really know what to expect from them, to be honest. I need to sort of have a bit of a more of a look at how they played last season, who they're going to sign. But on the opposite, you probably do look at them and say, yeah, they'll probably go back down next season.
And what was your favourite match last season in the Premier League?
To be fair, I think mine was the 6-3 Man City.
Yeah, against Man United.
Yeah, I think that's up there with the actually, to be fair, I'll re-say that. I think Man United losing 7-0 to Liverpool. I think that.
Yeah, the first half was pretty good. But mind you, the Man United, Arsenal United was a very good match. Like, the 3-2 defeat because that had
Yeah, and I
everything.
think when Arsenal played Liverpool, I think Arsenal won 3-2 and Saka had a
Yeah,
really
it was a great
that-
game.
Yeah, there was a couple of good
The
games in there.
3-3. Personally speaking, I liked United's 2-1 over City. Jack Grealish doing the crazy celebration.
It's a bit weird coming from a Man United fan.
What, Man United beating Man City 2-1 at Old Trafford. I enjoyed
Oh,
that.
I thought you were talking about the FA Cup final.
No. When
City went
Rashford scored the winning goal against. No, I'm on about the 2-1 win. I enjoyed that. And
yeah.
who was your player of the season? I'm obviously going to say
it's all,
for Haaland.
yeah, Haaland.
Yeah, Haaland.
I think, yeah, it sort of goes without saying, to be honest.
It's obviously going to be him. And who do you think manager of the season was? And it's obviously Pep Guardiola, isn't it? Like, no contest.
Well, yeah, if you're looking at it, you go Pep Guardiola, who won the treble, manager of the season.
And signing of the season has to go to Haaland. I mean,
star
striker for peanut. Like 4 million.
Yeah.
Just insane.
Oh, well, I was going to say maybe you could say best value for money, but then obviously if you're signing him for 50 million, he is best value for money.
Let's talk about worst manager of the season. Scott Parker, Lampard. I'm going to say Steven Gerrard for worst manager of the season.
I think that's a bit harsh. I'm going to swing the other way and I'm going to say Frank Lampard.
And who was the flop of the season? I'm going to say João Felix at Chelsea. He had all this expectation and greatness, and he's now back at Atletico Madrid.
Flop of the season? Oh, bloody hell, that's harsh. Arsenal only paid to call them the
whole Chelsea squad
of the season.
You could say Anthony, but I've liked Anthony.
Yeah.
Because he's entertaining, but
I think you could look at someone like Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, like he was expected to
sort
do
of point before the season. Even though I do expect him to do much better next season, obviously the season he's just done it hasn't been very good to the level that we thought he would be. But he's still very young, so it's a bit harsh calling someone flop of the season. But if I had to go with anyone, I'd probably go with Darwin Núñez.
And that pretty much wraps up this season's review. I hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. And we'll be back
You'll
to
have
talk
to do
about
Premier League predictions one, Jack, where you do your 1 to 20 of where people are going to finish next season. I think that'll be interesting. Give you reason and why you think they're going to finish there.
All right, so bye-bye, everybody, all the viewers out there.
All the viewers?
Yep.
I don't think anyone's listening to this.
No, this is streamed all around the world. This is getting sent to Saudi Arabia and South Korea, China and Japan.
What? We'll blew all about shit.
Yes. So we'll end the show now.
Before we go to bed. See you later.